They all seemed to be really, really intelligent, educated women. And their fatal flaw was that they believed so much in the fairy tale romantic fantasy that just completely blocks them from seeing reality.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think they're to blame with this. I think well, I'm not a huge believer in seeking blame, but I think the cause of this is sort of the the where we grow up. And I even wrote down the quote. She said, looking for that all-consuming love, which is basically, the Disney fairy tale, finding Prince Charming who will come save you. And I think we grew up with this notion of a happily ever after, of perfect love, of this rich, beautiful, man who will come and save us from our lives and sweep us off our feet. And so of course we're going to look for that. Of course we're going to want that. Of course there's always going to be a romantic in us who's going to believe maybe it is true. Maybe there is something in it. Maybe I'm one of those few lucky ones who will find, someone like this, someone perfect. And I feel like that a lot of times, along with men like Simon, who just come along and manipulate and gaslight and do all these textbook tricks to try and get women to fall into his net. And we can say from today to tomorrow to next week to next year, oh, if I was in this situation, I would have never done this, that, and the other. But we don't know. Until push comes to shove, we have no idea what we would have done in that situation, because a charming person can manipulate almost anyone. And yeah, it helps to be aware and to be cautious, but we never know.
Well, yes, I would agree, but I would play devil's advocate in the, if we were in the situation where the person that we love and we trust asks us for money, then we don't know what we would be doing at this stage, because we are in love and we trust them and etc. But the thing is, it was the red flags were at the beginning that if they didn't miss the red flags at the beginning, if they missed the red flags at the beginning, they were never gonna not give money when push came to shove, because it's this guy, these guys who earn a stupid amount of money, they don't mix in the same circles that the people who don't do. Otherwise we'd be hearing about such and such celebrity going at this place and this Fortune 500 going at this place. The Leviathan family seems to be an extremely wealthy family. I would be gobsmacked if they would hang out on Tinder or these things. And actually, Tinder has this tier of, I only found this out recently, but Tinder has this tier that these high earners pay a lot of money for, to be private on Tinder and only match with each other, of these people in this type of society. So I'm not saying that this is good or bad. I'm saying that usually people, will spend money and be in different places rather than just London.
Yeah, and I agree. There were a lot of red flags, and I think there's a lot of things that were just overlooked. I will say though that maybe, but that specifically, I don't think, I wouldn't have even thought. Well, I would have thought it's pretty weird that such a famous or rich person is on Tinder, but I never would have thought, oh, they probably have a feature on Tinder, so why isn't he on that? I don't know if that's like a thought that every average Joe would really think about. I do think though that if already you're meeting up with a person, you didn't think about the fact that they wouldn't be on Tinder to begin with if they were who they say they were. But why in the world get on a private jet with someone you don't know? I'm sorry. But if he really were the person he says he is, and if he was a sane person, a normal person, he never would have asked you to get on his private jet on a first date. No normal person does that. And you know what? Even if so, okay, fine. No, I'm sorry. No, you don't get on a private jet with someone you don't know and you've only met in the last hour. It's just, it's like mind boggling to me. Like, how in the world? Like, why in the world?
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. It just, we don't want to, it's not a victim blaming, in the
Mm-mm.
sense, if well, I'm not going to do any comparisons, but it's not victim blaming, like you should not have done that. It's now, I hope that they have both learned, well, all of these women involved, but they've learned of just, this is not how life happens.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Who gets in a private jet? Even the friends of Cecile said, like, this doesn't feel good, like it's a private jet, and she just goes YOLO. Fine,
Yeah.
you only live once, but you don't get in the private jet of somebody who you don't know. I would, I would not bypass, but if you don't immediately check who this person is online, then I'm not too sure how to feel about that. Maybe give it a couple of dates. Like I gave it a couple of dates before checking, because I wanted to get to know the person beforehand. Because basically what I do is, what my process is, what was, when I was meeting somebody online, I would check out their Instagram and or Facebook and LinkedIn, because I find that everybody has a LinkedIn profile. And if you're a fake account, you don't bother with a LinkedIn profile. And so usually I'd think, okay, so if these people have a good presence online and are on LinkedIn, it feels okay. Yeah, I just look it up and that's fine. So I would not have had any worries about that. What would have worried me, I would not have gotten a private jet with the guy. And yes, what you're saying about the enemies, what I'm worried about is that some of these women find that attractive. They like the drama. And that is just astonishingly scary to me. Of just, and I think that Simon Levive did his homework of just, they like the drama. They want to be living a Hollywood film. They want the James Bond thing of being a Bond girl and having their man being ran chased by criminals and dangerous, because it's exciting, because that's what love is in the films.
Yeah. And I do want to stress on that point where this isn't victim blaming in any way. I feel like it is important, though, to look at this and understand what we can learn from it and how we can prevent these things from happening again and again. We have to look at it and say, okay, what can I learn from this and how can I do better? And how can I prevent this from happening to me? And I think even one of the women said, she said, I thought it would be stupid, or I would be stupid to say no. And I'm like, I feel like getting on that private jet is a bit not the smartest idea. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's true. And that YOLO mentality is such it makes us do stupid things, and it makes us like let go of all reason. While I do understand that you want to live life, you want to have that, Prince Charming or knight in shining armor who comes and sweeps you off your feet and whisks you away to some exotic location, you also need to hold on to reason and take a moment to think. And I think this is the second woman over there. She sent him her passport, a picture of her passport, and she let him buy her plane ticket to come see him. And so it's like on the kind of same equivalent of like that's a red flag. It's not normal, not to someone just sends you a plane ticket without knowing you, and also sending your passport details to someone you don't know is also such a crazy thing to me. And I understand like the sort of the thrill of it is, oh my god, I met someone cool who who wants to take me away, and believe me, I would love it as much as the next girl, but I feel like you have to be so cautious with these things.
I agree. And something I was kind of thinking to myself, if I was going to have a conversation with Cecile or the other women, I would imagine that they would respond something along the lines of, yes, but what if that got him angry or upset or on the defensive and things like that? I would reply to that, then you don't want to be with someone who doesn't trust your doesn't respect your boundaries, because either what he's doing is legit and why not, but if he's not respecting your boundaries now, what is it going to be down the line? You don't want to be with someone like that. Or it's a red flag. Like, what has he got to hide? Of just, you want to make sure that you're doing fine in everything. What has he got to hide? But I mean, be with someone who respects your boundaries. I can understand, objectively, I can understand the whole, it's exciting getting on a private jet and going to the other side of Europe and having fun. Like, I get it. It's exciting. I get it. But that can still happen with boundaries being respected.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do think he's a professional. He knows what he's doing, and this is not his first rodeo. He's done a lot of different cons beforehand, and he's a very good manipulator, and he's created this narrative so meticulously that it is very hard to see some of the red flags, because he did put up a lot of, fronts to show that he is who he says he is, and there's no reason to be suspicious. But even with the best actors and the best manipulators, there's always ways to tell, especially when they're trying to rush you into this. They're trying to get you to consume yourself in this all at once. And in general, if you're looking for real love, again, doesn't begin that way. And like you said, if he's completely freaking out, or if he's saying, well, then you're not interesting to me, I'll go away, then fine, go away. I don't want you to be a part of my life if I'm not interesting enough to you, because I can't get on a private jet with you on a first date.
Yeah.
And I say this a lot. This is why I believe that we first need to work on ourselves so much, because once we have a strong self, we don't care whether someone is going to reject us or say no or run away, because that's their problem. There's always going to be another person who is right for you. And you're strong enough on your own that you don't need to, just do something because someone is asking you to do it, or you feel like it's the romantic thing, or you feel like it's cool, or you feel like you're going to miss out if you don't do it. And especially if someone's reacting in such a way, believe them when they freak out on you, because that's who they are. I feel like that's when a person shows their real true self. And he's done that throughout the whole film. He's suddenly showing his little freakouts and his little moments of gaslighting and blaming and getting upset at you for being this way and that way. And that's a big tell when someone's such a hothead, and you don't want to be with someone who is just going to react unpredictably every time.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you are saying about finding yourself, because if you rush to get into a relationship, then that is how you will get into a bad relationship. And if you don't have a huge sense of self-worth, I mean, I feel it's okay to just want to be in a relationship rather than being single. But that doesn't mean that you are dispensed from knowing what it's like to be single and seeing that that it's very livable and doable and that you survive. And as soon as you kind of figure out, actually being single isn't that bad, so I'm going to prefer being single rather than being in a bad relationship, I feel that's how you avoid the bad relationships, rather than rushing into something that's not good for you.